story from Tales from the Vault. It's dealing with my one-time brother-in-law, Wade Lucas. So if you don't know Wade, he's probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. When I was a young kid, Wade's always done body work, learned from his dad. His dad learned from his dad, so Wade's like a third generation in this stuff. He's very smart, very methodical, and I'm just a young kid. I don't know what I want to do in life. I like vehicles, and he's kin to me, so I'm like, hey, I'll ask him for a job. So he gives me a job, and I work for him the first day. I'll never forget this. On the first day, he's like, you want to see what it's like to be a body man? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So he puts a respirator, like a mask on me, and we go into the paint booth, and he has me base coating, which is the color on a car before you clear coat it. It was a Camaro. It was one of my neighbor's Camaros, blue. So I'm painting this stuff, and he's showing me how quick it dries. Like, you can take the paint gun and do this, and in like 20 seconds run your fingers across it, no paint on your fingers, it dries that quick. So like on that, if you're painting a car with color, it normally has paint thinner in it, and the thinner is a transfer device. It's like piggybacking on the paint thinner molecules, and it lands onto the paint job or the metal of the car, and as that paint thinner evaporates, which is really quickly, it leaves the color behind. So I paint this car and everything and put the color on it. And then I go outside the booth, and Wade suits up and he clear coats it. And it's beautiful. It's shiny. I mean, it's the shiniest the car will ever be right after it's clear coated. And so you let it, it's called flashing off. You let it dry a little bit, and you go in there and check on it. And I check on it, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. Look at this awesome job I've done today. And Wade says, you think you could do this for a job? I said, yeah, man, that's easy. I got this. And he said, good. After you've learned everything else you need to learn, you will then be allowed back in this paint booth, and it will not be anytime soon. So I was like, okay. So then he shows me how to water sand a car, which is, I did it for years, but it's probably it's not the worst part of body work. The worst part of doing body work is like cleaning your nose out from Bondo dust and dealing with fiberglass because it makes you itch so bad. Those are your two bad parts. But anyway, so I've been water sanding the car, and it's just boring. You take a hose pipe and you just all day long. That arm's getting sore as can be because I don't have size myself, but what size I have gotten is still hanging from the days I worked for Wade, for those 7-8 years I worked for Wade. But anyway, I water sand this car. I do not like this job. I do not like that part of the job, So, and I'm just a young punkish kid, and at the end of the day, it's like 5 o'clock. My feet are wet. They've been wet for hours. Shorts are wet. Whatever. And I walk out by his office, and I say, hey, man, I'll see you later. He says, oh, hold on a second. It's like, what's up? He says, sit down. So I sit down in his office, and he said, you are my brother-in-law. I said, yeah. He said, you're family. I said, yeah. He says, so if you don't work here anymore, you're still family. I still like you. I was like, oh, okay. And in my mind, I'm going, what does that mean? And he said, if you come back tomorrow with the same terrible attitude you've had since you started water sanding that car, there's no need to have it tomorrow. You don't have to come back. But if you would like a job, you can come back tomorrow with a much better attitude, and I will show you how to do this stuff. And I was embarrassed, I was like, dang, I didn't think I was that transparent. So anyway, I said, I'll have a better attitude tomorrow. So I came back the next day, had adjusted my attitude overnight, and we worked many a days together. And he taught me so much stuff. I mean, so much stuff. From common sense decisions, and we would talk about just life in general. I'm young, I'm not dating anybody, so there's a girl talk, there's a partying talk. He would tell me stories about, when he was young and everything else, and all them were good stories. Met a lot of his friends. I'm just good people, and I'm blessed. I've come from a good area in the world with a bunch of good people. And Wade had a cousin named Keith, and Keith was a phenomenal body man. He had had a colorful life, and throughout learning or his new experiences of having a colorful life, he'd kind of gotten a reputation for not being the most upstanding individual in the world he could be. But to the core, he was that person that you didn't want him to hold your money, but if he showed up at your party, he was a good time. I mean, he would make you laugh when no one else can make you laugh. He was good when he wanted to fix something. If he helped us out in the shop, it'd be beautiful. But it was on and off, you know. Anyway, Keith, I'll tell you two stories about Keith. Keith marries a girl and ends up, I think either she gave it to him or something, but long story short, he gets an Indian motorcycle, and she was beautiful. I'm not a motorcycle person, but that was one pretty bike. Keith's had it a couple of days, couple weeks, drinks one night, runs it off the road, wrecks, breaks his neck. Of course, he's not paralyzed or nothing, but he has this monster halo on, screwed into his skull and pushed down into his shoulders, you know, so he's immobilized. And he wants to work. So he tells Wade, he says, "Hey, Bo," that's how he talked. "Ooh, Bo, you reckon I come in here and work some?" And Wade's like, "Well, what can you do, Keith? You're in a halo." "Bo, I can fix these cars. I can do that Bondo." And personally, I'm just a young kid. I just want to see it. I just want to see it happen. So the shop held like, you know, two cars basically side by side with a lot of room around them you could work. You could get three in there, but it's almost too tight. So there's two cars. I'm working on one car. Keith's working on the other. And as I'm working, I glance over, and Keith is sanding the Bondo on this dent he's fixed. You know, because you Bondo, you final skim it or whatever to try to, the parts we can't get the middle just perfect. So anyway, I don't know how to really show y'all this, but you got this guy that's sanding Bondo, and he's doing it like this, and he can't move anything from chest up, and his shoulders are locked down, so he can't raise that arm. All he can do is this. And that fool worked 3 or 4 days, and that car was immaculate. He couldn't paint it because of all of this going on, and he couldn't wear a respirator because of the halo, so Wade had to paint it. But Wade paints it, and it come out good. So anyway, a couple years later, we are working on a Suburban. So Wade would get trade-in vehicles from a local dealership that he was friends with, and we'd resell them. And one of Wade's friends was looking a white two-wheel drive Suburban as a race car ride, like to ride to the drag strip, maybe pull a race car with, but all his buddies could ride in it. And he's very finicky, he wants it perfect. So there is a funeral home close to where I'm from, and they paint their vehicles like a pea green color. And it's like shot at a Mako. It's really thin paint. It's just a quick coat, so all their fleet vehicles match. But it's still like a minty pea green. So we get word that this vehicle's been traded in. He's looking one. Wade calls him, and he says, "I'll go tonight to the dealership after I get done at work, and I'll look at it." And he gets to the dealership and loves it. Yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Now, this vehicle is sitting at the car dealership, and it has these orange, like almost amber parking lot lights. They're not bright white. They're like an orangish yellow tint. When you take that pea green Suburban and stick underneath white lights, the orange lights, she looks bright white. I mean, it looks immaculate. So the next day, guy goes, picks up the Suburban, and they said, "Well, there it is. It's that one there." He's like, "That ain't the Suburban I looked at last night. Suburban I looked at last night was white. That thing's ugly green." And so it's like, "No, that's it." They figured out what happened with the light color. He takes it anyway and sends it to us, and we paint it. And I mean, did we not go over this thing. It got all new trim. Everything on the vehicle was replaced that could be replaced. It was, to not have a dent in a vehicle, it was probably the most expensive paint job I had been a part of and Wade to that day. And the guy keeps it forever. He ends up getting married. On his honeymoon, he goes to Myrtle Beach. And years ago, or 10 years ago or something, no, 20 years ago, Myrtle Beach had tornadoes come, and they come off the water and just ruined a bunch of stuff and literally destroyed the Suburban. Knocked the windows out of it, windshield blowed out of it, just sucked the headlights out, tail lights out, whatever. So the guy, long story short, he gets it to the body shop. He's like, I want it fixed. I want it fixed back the way it was. It's my ride. So we're working on it. Keith, or Get Gone as we call him, has came in to help us. This vehicle needed some special stuff because tornado winds will sandblast unbelievable amount. It took seashells off the beach and drove them into the side of the vehicle because it went through our white paint we had painted, the green paint that was on it, and the factory white paint, and still jammed into the steel in some parts. So it was a job. During all of this, we have a sales rep for a company that we buy some supplies from, like razor blades and seam sealer, all of these automotive things we need to make jobs to go that extra percent to make them look right. No one can get in touch with this sales rep. The company tells us that they think he's gotten onto drugs. Another body shop tells us that they heard his guy's crackheaded, he's cracked out, he won't come, he won't run his route. Lo and behold, one day while working on this Suburban, this guy shows up. Some woman's driving his sales car. He comes in and he's telling us all about these stuff, and we've got this product, and you need this for this, and we've got this for this, and kind of giving us a sales speech, but also taking Wade's order for everything he needs. Keith is inside this vehicle, back of the Suburban. It still has the rear quarter glasses, the dark glass in the back of it. And this guy is showing us how to do something on the side of the car, or side of the Suburban, with some special material. We already had the conversation when he showed up and Keith was listening that, hey, this guy's a crackhead, we don't know if he's going to remember taking our order or whatever it may be. So me and Wade's outside the vehicle, squatted down, while this guy's on his knees showing us, put this material on here and it'll do this special thing. Above the steel quarter panel, there's a black glass, the tinted windows in the back of the Suburban. Keith is back there because we've taken all the interior out, was full of glass, and everything had to be redone from the tornado. Keith has taken a quarter drive ratchet and a socket, so it's basically like an L-shaped thing. And Keith is at this window acting like he is smoking crack in a crack pipe. And I'm trying to get this right for the camera. So basically what Keith's doing, and he's right beside this guy, but the guy can't hear him because there's glass in between them. Keith is sitting there like this right here. He's got this pipe thing, he's got this like pipe thing, and he's going. Right? And so, as this guy's talking, me and Wade, if you're paying attention, you can see Keith in the back, but you have to be looking for him. Me and Wade realize what Keith is doing. And he wants to call the guy a crackhead so bad. And so me and Wade have to finish this sales thing, and I've turned my head down, like I can't laugh at this guy. This guy does not know what's going on. Wade is trying to hold it together, and he does, because Wade's a good person. And so yeah, that's Keith. If you can't laugh, if you could not laugh with Keith, you just won't want to laugh. And yeah, that's it. We'll do another one.